The Lighthouse Keeper's Secret Coastal Ireland. The rugged cliffs of County Clare had always been a place of mystery and wonder, but none more so than the abandoned lighthouse at Hag's Head. Local legend spoke of its last keeper, Finn O'Malley, who vanished without a trace during the Great Storm of 1962. Some said he was swept out to sea, others whispered darker tales. When American researcher Sarah Mitchell arrived to document Ireland's maritime history, she was immediately drawn to the lighthouse's enigma. The locals in the nearby village of Liscannor were reluctant to speak of it, offering only vague warnings about respecting the past. "It's not just history that haunts that place," the elderly pub owner told her, his eyes avoiding hers. "Some things are better left undisturbed." Sarah, ever the skeptic, secured the key from the County Historical Society and made her way to the lighthouse on a clear September morning. The structure stood defiant against the Atlantic winds, its white paint peeling like sunburnt skin. Inside, dust motes danced in shafts of light piercing through grimy windows. The keeper's quarters remained largely untouched, as if Finn had just stepped out. A half-empty cup of tea sat on a table, its contents long evaporated. Books were stacked haphazardly, their pages marked with notes in a spidery hand. But what caught Sarah's attention was the logbook. Most entries were routine, weather observations, ship sightings, maintenance notes. But the final entries, dated during the storm of 1962, grew increasingly erratic. November 12th, storm approaching. They're calling it the worst in decades. The light must stay on. November 13th, waves breaking over the cliff. Something strange in the water tonight. Not just the storm. November 14th, the light has failed. Something is trying to get in. Not the wind. Something else. The final entry sent a chill down Sarah's spine. They're not coming for the light. They're coming for the keeper. I understand now. The old stories were true. As Sarah read the last words, the lighthouse door slammed shut with a force that seemed impossible on such a calm day. When she tried to open it, it wouldn't budge. The windows, previously allowing in daylight, now showed only darkness, as if night had fallen instantly. Panic rising, Sarah noticed something new in the room, what footprints leading from the door to where she stood. Yet she was alone. The air grew cold, and she heard whispers in a language she couldn't understand, yet somehow recognized as ancient Irish. Her phone, previously showing full signal, now displayed no service. The lighthouse seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. As darkness deepened, spectral figures began to materialize, gaunt forms with seaweed in their hair and eyes that held the depth of the ocean. Sarah remembered Finn's final entry. They're not coming for the light. They're coming for the keeper. She realized with horror that these were the souls of those lost at sea, drawn to the lighthouse not as a warning, but as a gathering place. Finn hadn't been swept away by the storm. He had been taken by something far older and more mysterious. The figures moved closer, their whispers growing louder. Sarah pressed herself against the wall, heart pounding. As the first spectral hand reached for her, she noticed something glinting in the corner, a small silver bell, tarnished with age. Remembering a fragment of Irish folklore about bells warding off evil spirits, she scrambled for it. As her fingers closed around the bell, she shook it with all her might. The clear tone cut through the supernatural gloom, and the figures recoiled. The door burst open, revealing daylight once more. Sarah stumbled out, gasping, and didn't stop running until she reached the village. That evening, as she recovered in the local pub, the old owner nodded knowingly. "You've met them, then. The drowned ones." Finn learned their secret, and they took him for it. "What secret?" Sarah asked, still trembling. The man leaned closer. "The lighthouse isn't just a warning to ships. It's a beacon for those lost at sea, calling them home. But once you know the truth, you become part of it." Finn chose to stay with them rather than let the secret die. Sarah left County Clare the next day, but she took with her the story of Finn O'Malley, who had become not just a keeper of the light, but a keeper of souls. Sometimes, she still hears the distant sound of a bell on stormy nights, a reminder that some secrets are meant to be kept by the sea. The Orchard of Echoes. In the heart of modern Singapore, where glass towers pierced the sky and technology reigned supreme, there existed an anomaly, a small, traditional fruit orchard that had somehow survived the nation's relentless development. Known as Lim's Orchard, it was tended by an elderly woman who went only by Auntie Lim, a woman who seemed as timeless as the trees she cultivated. When tech entrepreneur Marcus Chin inherited the adjacent property from his late grandfather, he saw only opportunity. The orchard, occupying prime real estate in the bustling city-state, was an anachronism that stood between him and his dream of building Singapore's most innovative smart complex. Auntie Lim, he said politely during their first meeting, I've come to discuss the future of your property. I'm prepared to offer you well above market value. The old woman, her face a roadmap of wrinkles, simply smiled. This land is not for sale, young men. It has a purpose beyond what you can see. Frustrated but determined, Marcus began researching the property's history, expecting to find some legal loophole he could exploit. Instead, he discovered something far stranger, records indicating that the orchard had existed in some form for over 200 years, with each generation of Lim family passing down not just the land, but a secret responsibility. The mystery deepened when Marcus installed security cameras to monitor the property. The footage showed something inexplicable. At exactly midnight, the trees would begin to glow with a soft, ethereal light, and what appeared to be human-shaped shadows would move among them, visible only to the cameras. Convinced it was some elaborate trick designed to scare him off, Marcus decided to confront Auntie Lim directly. He arrived at the orchard just before midnight, prepared to expose whatever deception she was perpetrating. As the clock struck 12, Marcus watched in disbelief as the orchard transformed. The trees began to pulse with light, and the air filled with the scent of fruit he couldn't identify. The shadows he'd seen on camera materialized into translucent figures, people dressed in clothing from different eras of Singapore's history. What is this? Marcus whispered, unable to process what he was seeing. Auntie Lim appeared beside him, as if from nowhere. These are the echoes, she said softly. The memories of this land. Singapore has changed so quickly, so completely, that much of its past has been lost. But here, in this small space, the memories remain. As Marcus watched, he realized the figures weren't just random apparitions, they were reenacting scenes from Singapore's history. A fisherman mending his net, a merchant bargaining with a customer, a family celebrating a festival, lovers meeting beneath a tree, moments spanning 2 centuries of the island nation's evolution. How is this possible? Marcus asked, his skepticism crumbling in the face of the impossible. The orchard sits on what the Malays called Tanah Ingatan, the land of memory, Auntie Lim explained. It remembers everything that has happened here. My family has tended it for generations, not just to grow fruit, but to preserve these echoes. Marcus spent the entire night watching the spectral tableau unfold. He saw Singapore's transformation from a small fishing village to a colonial trading post, from the horrors of Japanese occupation to the joy of independence. He saw the struggles and triumphs of generations, all preserved in this magical space. As dawn approached, the figures faded, and the orchard returned to its normal appearance. Marcus looked at Auntie Lim with new understanding. I wanted to destroy this, he said quietly. To build something modern and profitable. Auntie Lim nodded. Many have tried. But some things are more valuable than money. Marcus returned to his office the next day and canceled his development plans. Instead, he proposed something revolutionary, a heritage center that would incorporate the orchard, using technology to document and share its magical properties with the world while preserving its sanctity. Auntie Lim agreed, on one condition, that the orchard remain untouched at the center of the development, a living reminder of Singapore's past amid its relentless march toward the future. Today, the Echoes Heritage Center stands as one of Singapore's most visited attractions, a place where technology and tradition merge. Visitors can experience the orchard's magic through augmented reality displays that help them see what Marcus saw that night. The echoes of Singapore's past, preserved in a small patch of earth that refused to be erased by progress. And sometimes, when the city sleeps and the moon is full, those who pass by can still see the soft glow of the trees, a reminder that even in the most modern of cities, the past never truly dies. The Dreaming Cave. The Australian outback stretched endlessly around Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a red expanse that seemed to exist outside of time. As an archaeologist specializing in Aboriginal culture, she had spent years studying the ancient peoples who had called this harsh landscape home for over 60,000 years. But nothing in her research had prepared her for what she was about to discover. Elena was following the journal of her late mentor, Dr. James Mitchell, who had spent his final years searching for what he called the Dreaming Cave, a place mentioned in various Aboriginal creation stories but never located by outsiders. According to his notes, the cave was said to be a portal where the physical world and the dreamtime, the Aboriginal understanding of reality, intersected. The journal ended abruptly with a final entry: "I found it. The elders were right. It's not just a place, it's a living thing. And it's calling." Elena had been skeptical of her mentor's increasingly mystical writings, but her professional curiosity compelled her to complete his work. Following his detailed maps and cryptic notes, she arrived at a remote location in the Northern Territory, where a cluster of ancient rock formations rose from the desert like sleeping giants. The entrance to the cave was unremarkable, a narrow opening in the rock face, partially obscured by vegetation. But as Elena stepped inside, she immediately sensed something extraordinary. The air was cool and carried the scent of rain, despite the arid landscape outside. The walls of the cave were covered in Aboriginal art, but unlike any she had seen before, the figures seemed to move and shift when viewed from different angles. As ventured deeper, Elena noticed the cave's structure defied natural explanation. The passages seemed to rearrange themselves, leading her in circles despite her careful attention to direction. Time became distorted. Minutes felt like hours, hours like minutes. It was then that she began to experience the visions. At first, they were fleeting images of giant beings shaping the landscape, of animals that no longer existed roaming the Australian interior. But as she moved deeper into the cave, the visions became more vivid, more immersive. She found herself standing on a plain that predated humanity, watching as the rainbow serpent carved rivers through the land with its massive body. She witnessed the first sunrise, experienced the creation of the stars, and understood the spiritual essence that connected all living things. Elena realized with awe that she wasn't just seeing visions, she was experiencing the dreamtime itself, the foundational mythology of Aboriginal culture that explained the creation of the world. As the visions intensified, Elena encountered a figure that seemed both ancient and immediate, an Aboriginal elder with eyes that held the wisdom of millennia. "You have been called," the figure said, though his mouth didn't move. "The cave has chosen you." "Chosen me for what?" Elena asked, her voice echoing in the vastness of the vision. "To remember," the elder replied. "Your people have forgotten how to listen to the land, how to understand that everything is connected. The cave is dying because fewer believe in its power. It needs someone to bridge the worlds." The elder showed Elena visions of the future, a world where the ancient knowledge was lost, where the connection between humans and the earth was severed, leading to environmental catastrophe and spiritual emptiness. "The dreamtime is not just the past," the elder explained. "It exists alongside your world, available to those who know how to access it. But as fewer remember, the bridge between worlds weakens." Elena understood then what had happened to her mentor. He hadn't disappeared. He had crossed over completely, unable or unwilling to return. She faced a choice: remain in the timeless reality of the dreamtime or return to the physical world with the knowledge she had gained. With a sense of purpose she had never before experienced, Elena chose to return. The journey back through the cave was different now, the passages cleared before her, and soon she emerged into the harsh sunlight of the Australian outback. 3 days later, a search party found Elena dehydrated but alive, her journal filled with detailed accounts of her experiences and sketches of the cave art. When authorities returned to investigate, they found no trace of the cave entrance, only solid rock face. Elena dedicated the rest of her life to sharing what she had learned, working with Aboriginal elders to preserve and protect their sacred knowledge. She never found the cave again, though she searched for years. Perhaps it was never meant to be found by conventional means, she wrote in her memoir. Perhaps it exists only for those who approach with respect and openness, those willing to understand that there are realities beyond what we can measure and document. Today, visitors to the Northern Territory can sometimes see Elena speaking with Aboriginal elders, her face alight with the passion of someone who has touched something timeless. And on clear desert nights, when the stars seem close enough to touch, some claim to hear the faint sound of a didgeridoo playing from deep within the earth, a reminder that the dream time still exists, waiting for those who know how to listen.